Hey guys, we're still waiting on Rezwan and Naeem. Rezwan for sure. Like I said before, if you have anything you need to talk about housekeeping, Discord, anything like that, now would be the time. We'll start in just a couple minutes, I think. All right, we're gonna get started if you guys want to find your seats here. All right, let's begin. So welcome to Senate session number 7 of the year. Glad to see everybody. We have pretty good attendance again. I did most of this. I think I have, I have a few more I'll mark off later, but I know most of you now, so I'm getting it down. This is our agenda for today. We're actually going to have one thing before this and one thing after this. We're just going to have a little conversation on the voting results because the poll on our Discord, I want you guys to be able to talk about it a little bit if you have opinions on how it should be shared, because I think it's important. And then we're going to have two student organization presentations, and then we're going to have a brief discussion from Mark about a student organization as well. And then the rest is there. So we'll start off by just, Andrew, will you be ready to walk around a little bit? Just talking about how you want your voting to appear. I released a poll. I don't know how many of you saw that. Just on how you want it to appear. And I kind of want this to be more of a public forum now, because I know there was two sides to that. So if you feel strongly that the voting results should be tithed to your name, where each week I'll release your name and whether you voted yes, no, or abstain on different items, or whether you think it should just be a bulk number where the numbers just come out. This is your time to speak for or against either of those. And I will be releasing a poll. Bolu will be sending out the poll in the voting tab, so you guys will be able to, we'll get a more accurate number of where everybody's at. So if anybody has any opinions on that, this is your discussion time. If there's no opinions, we can just move on.
I think that the voting results should be tied to names, because as elected senators, we have a duty to the people that elected us, and we need to be accountable to what we vote for. If we vote with anonymity, that somewhat defeats the trust in the system. And if we have actual results, that legitimizes the whole system.
Avery, back in the corner. Sorry, you have to speak on there for people who are online.
I know as someone who does a lot of advocacy work around campus, it can be important to me to know who I'm working with and what it is that they stand for, just so that I can have informed discussions and know what it is that I need to be prepared for. So for me, knowing the voting results is very important because it gives me access to that information.
All right, any more, Ben?
Yeah, so I think that we should actually have the votes not tied to our names, and it's actually for a reason similar what Avery, right? To what Avery said. And the reason I think that is, so what Avery said was definitely true. Having those names tied to what you vote for definitely shows kind of like what you're for and against, right? And I kind of think that knowing that is kind of unhelpful, right? So I guess we kind of see this in politics today, real world. It's really easy for there to be sides, right? I'm part of one side and I'm part of this side. And it's easy to create some kind of feeling of antagonism between each other, right? And one thing I really appreciate about the anonymity of these votes is that we're no longer, at least for me, it helps to not see people as whether you're on my side or the other side. It helps to show, when we're in SGA, we're having a discussion, right? We're saying, okay, I'm for this, or this is what I think, why this might be a good idea, or why this might not be a good idea, right? And having those votes anonymous kind of helps decrease the feeling of antagonism, there's no parties in here, so I can't really say partisanship, but you guys kind of know what I mean, right? So I just feel like having your votes anonymous kind of encourages the feeling of mutual discussion and respect, and kind of decreases the chances and opportunities of just, labeling other people as something you disagree with.
Thank you. I kind of agree with some of what you said. Well, the only thing there are kind of 2 points. I think I think we really need to have our names tied to our votes. At the end of the day, we're all representatives. We're not here on our own accord. And we need to be held accountable if we are misrepresenting the people that we're representing. We do not want to go against what the majority of, like I know Spencer is the senator for the College of Architecture. And if all of the architect students want him to vote one way and he votes another, he can kind of hide behind that anonymity and not have to deal with the repercussions of that. And on the to like directly say what you said, with the sides thing and like there being sides, that's more of just as senators, as people that are representing, we're not against, we're like nobody in here's our enemy. And I really don't think we need to view anybody as for or against, even if they're voting a different way. Because at the end of the day, like there are going to be differing opinions. We are going to represent different. So those discussions, knowing what people are voting for and against, I think will be much healthier as we work as a team and for the student body.
Any other comments? Any rebuttals? Anything you'd like to discuss before we release the poll? Everybody's good with what was stated, what was laid out on the table? Ben?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I know I agree with you, Andrew. I wasn't saying that I think there are enemies, want us to be enemies. Obviously, we're, a bunch of students here. We should hopefully. I just think having votes anonymous can help psychologically decrease the chances of us seeing each other as for or against. Just a clarification.
All right. Any other comments at all? Everybody's mind is made up. Bolu, will you release that poll in the voting members channel on the Discord? So all of you can go to the Discord, click on the poll, all the senators, and vote or poll. All right. And with that, we will move on. Our first organization that's going to be presenting today is iGEM. So if you guys want to come on up, I'll pull up your slideshow here. All right, so here's this for you. Just hit the space bar here. Oh, it should take you through it.
Could we get a microphone?
Yeah, Andrew, can I take that microphone? I think we're good. Start, your time starts.
Hey everyone. So I'm Lindsay Clark. I am president of iGEM.
And I'm Nathaniel Rodriguez. I am the secretary for iGEM.
And we're hoping to present the iGEM Club to you today.
Yeah, we're looking to reinstate iGEM Club. I want to clarify that. iGEM Club was previously a club at IIT back in 2019. iGEM by its nature involves a lot of lab work and hands-on items. So with COVID and the pandemic, it sort of disbanded just because by its nature, we couldn't really keep the club going to actually do the lab work that we needed. So now that we're back in person and things are back to relative normal, we want to reinstate the club, and this is our proposal to do that. So what is iGEM?
So iGEM stands for Internationally Genetically Engineered Machine. This is the largest synthetic biology competition in the world. So teams come together, they design, build, test, and then present their own systems. Top project topics can range from climate change to environment and sustainability, medicine, biomanufacturing. There's even a software and AI project as well. But the point is to use synthetic biology to address real world problems. So the picture you see is the iGEM Grand Jamboree, the competition from last year. There was over 3,000 participants, over 300 projects in 45 countries participated.
So our mission in reinstating iGEM as a club is to create an interdisciplinary student organization with the goals of exposing students to the field of synthetic biology. Some people may have never heard of it, or you've heard of it, but you don't know too much about it. We want to provide students that hands-on research experience. So iGEM is really a project-based sort of club to actually compete at the iGEM Grand Jamboree on an international stage. And through our efforts, we actually work with biotechnology companies around Chicago and the world. We've created student-led synthetic biology projects. We have one in the works currently. That's the graphic you see on your right, it's your perspective, where we've developed, we've modified HepG2 cells to both detect cholesterol levels, and when cholesterol levels are high, turn on a cholesterol regulator, which will actually pause or inhibit cholesterol synthesis. Just to give you an idea of what topic you may see in a synthetic biology project would be. But overall, the approach remains the same. You have a project design phase where you ideate, and then you actually design and execute experiments around the problem that you've identified that you're trying to solve using synthetic biology. And then after you've ideated, created your project, ran your experiments, you would present it either at Innovation Day, because we are course linked. We're also working with iPro, but participation in one is not conditional on participation in the other. And then, of course, the iGEM Grand Jamboree, which is the actual international competition.
So some of our goals include student organization and iPro collaboration. So as Nate just said, this club will run along an iPro as well, and we hope to have collaboration between the two. We also hope to present at this year's Grand Jamboree, which is held in Paris early November this year. And so we've gathered a strong, committed group of students that have volunteered their time inside and outside of the lab that will go with us to Paris, hopefully.
So what benefits are there to IIT to actually have an iGEM club? Well, again, the main thing for iGEM is that it's an interdisciplinary project. So you have students from multiple disciplines coming together to work on a shared project. Currently, our current project for cholesterol regulation involves students from biology, biomedical engineering, and chemistry, all working on a single project. So it is interdisciplinary. We provide students with hands-on experience, both on wet lab research and project management. We have networking opportunities. We've already been working with a few different biotech companies in Chicago and across the United States. So students that are involved in the project get to work with those companies as well as with other faculty that they might not otherwise get to interact with, and just develop those relationships between the faculty and themselves and other students or just other professionals. And we help to improve skills. So interprofessional and interpersonal skills, leadership, public speaking, as you see right now, project management, practical and communication skills. All of these go hand in hand with iGEM and just developing these projects, presenting them, getting them to a form where they can actually be competition worthy for the iGEM competition.
So to expand on networking and career development opportunities for iGEM, we are currently working with 3 biotech companies. One of them is Asimov, which is based in Boston. They've been helping us validate some of our data. We are also working with BitBio, which is based in the UK. We're developing a blog post with them, so they'll put us on their blog and get our name out there. We are also working with IDT. They will give us up to
$3,400 in product, pretty much for free, in kind. So, and we've already ordered upwards of like $2,000 worth of product from them. So that's been a huge help for actual like wet lab efforts and, validating our project and running our experiments.
And there are a couple other companies that have expressed interest in working with colleges. One of them is Lancetech, which is based in Chicago, and the other one is Variant Bio, which is based in Seattle.
Right. And then these are just an example of some of the teams that we've developed within iGEM, so sub-teams. They've also sort of crossed over with the iPro class, but again, participation in one is not conditional on participation in the other. So we have our iGEM and admin team. So the iGEM team is just responsible for making sure we're keeping track of iGEM's requirements, deadlines, deliverables, to actually be in the competition. Administration is making sure, this kind of goes back to that project management, making sure that the project's on track and that the tasks are getting done and the people that are assigned the tasks are actually completing them. Cloning, this has been more of that wet lab aspect. So developing our biosynthetic organism, keeping our cells running, passaging them, propagating them, just making sure they're alive, healthy, and we have enough cells to do the experiments we need to. Engineering, this is more theoretical. So we've had a smaller team actually running literature reviews and seeing what present data we can apply to our current project to improve our project. human practices. Over the summer, we actually worked with some local high schools to give those students some wet lab experience. So we had them run a qPCR and some other RNA extraction. So they actually got that hands-on experience, and we engaged them in the topic of synthetic biology, and also promoted IIT as a school they could potentially transfer to. And then PR efforts, we created a project pitch video for our cholesterol regulation project as part of the iGEM requirements, as well as a wiki page hosted on the iGEM servers. Again, getting the IIT name out there, our specific iGEM club's name out there, really just building an awareness around our efforts and what we bring to the table.
And that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we have a 5-minute question and answer period. So if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask them, this is your time.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation with pretty cool graphics, if I may add. I was wondering, sorry if this was mentioned earlier in the presentations, but is there a qualification process for you basically state the tuition fee or whatever? I have looked at the budget. It seems, I would pretty much expect it to be really pricey, but I was wondering if there's some sort of qualification process or you just pay a registration fee or pay whatever other expenses there are and you go.
So basically you just pay the fee and you can go, but there are awards that you can get and you have to, there's specific things you have to do for the awards. So one of them is the wiki page to qualify for awards like the bronze medal.
I think I did, but I forgot. See if someone else has a question.
All right, Jacob, did you still have a question?
Sure.
Hello. Oh, yeah. What are your plans for expanding your budget, getting more funding?
So right now we are reaching out to different companies to see if they will sponsor us. Also, we've been reaching out to the deans of the Lewis College and Armour College and see if they will help provide some support for us as well.
That's club specific. We've also, we have an iPro budget, which is separate from the iGEM club budget, but it goes hand in hand because it's all going to the same lab for the same experiments. And right, as Lindsay said, we have corporate sponsorships that we've been working on developing. We have some already secured, like, IDT, $3,400 worth of product for our lab experiments, DNA synthesized, things like that. And, increasing our PR efforts too, like BitBio, it's a UK, they actually create cells specific for, human health experiments. Just really trying to get on their platform, which they've agreed to host us. It's just actually getting them a viable blog post that they can promote and, build that awareness around our project. So then we can go out to other companies and say, hey, look, we're, hosted on their site. Our projects are being validated. This is valid. There's sense to it.
I ask because according to current FBoard standards, they're providing 35% of what you request for any conference. So that'll get you $3,000 or probably, right somewhere in the Atlantic. And so I'm just wondering if you have any unrestricted funding or how much iPro, just where is the other funding going to come from the 65%? If you have plans.
So some of that's from the iPro class, some of that will be from like the deans, and some of that was from the biotech companies that we've been working with as well.
Any other questions from anybody?
Hi. So as it was a nice presentation, so I noticed that you are working on cholesterol synthesis. So, and you told it's a multidisciplinary field. So how exactly are you going to broadcast your team to, like, suppose I'm a computer science student. So how are you going to motivate me in joining your team? So do you have a portfolio of any projects you have done?
So we have only done one other project for iGEM. in 2019 based on degradation of plastics. So we have a PR effort right now to develop our social media and some of the websites we have going on. And also we plan on sponsoring different career development things. So bringing in companies to do seminars. A lot of them have internship opportunities. So trying to push our students to do internship opportunities as well.
That's also part of the ideation process. Again, there's several tracks within iGEM. It's not limited to, just one field or, it's very multidisciplinary. So depending on what your interests are, there's probably a track or a topic for you. And that comes down to the project ideation phase. If you can, the first part, is broadcasting, getting the message out to students that we exist. There's opportunity here if you're willing to come in and participate. The second part is to actually work with students to find, okay, this is your major, these are your interests. How can we use synthetic biology to address problems, based in your field? Or how can we combine multiple fields to address those problems? And that goes back to the project ideation phase where we work with the teams to design a project that would be viable depending on, fields, interests, experience, and what's popular at the moment as well.
All right, thank you. And that is our time for questions unless somebody still had one. If not, do I have a motion to move to discussion? A second. Perfect. All right, so we will move on to discussion. I'll ask you guys just to follow Andrew here towards the pitch. And we'll start the discussion time once you guys. Yeah, you're good. All right, so we'll let him file down that way, but anybody have the inkling to start our discussion period? This is the time when you discuss your potential votes or what you were feeling about the organization. Would anybody like to start the discussion period? Right. Oh, lots of them. Okay.
It was actually nice to see a biomedical or biology related organization come and try to improve themselves, because I don't think on campus I have seen that many that are there, probably like a very few. And I think it's overpowered with like engineering disciplines. So like if they get a chance to grow, then it's nice.
Yeah, and just to make sure, all the senators, you guys saw under Senate agendas, they had their proposal and budget there as well. So if you guys wanted to read through that at all, you go to Discord, SGA, Senate agendas, and it's the most recent one in the threads. You can find that if you wanted to look over it. But yeah, we can continue this. Who else wanted to speak on this topic?
I had two things that I noticed with the presentation. One is when they mentioned multidisciplinary, I am not convinced how multidisciplinary their project was, because that was mostly inclined towards biology, because the diagram that they presented with, I'm not so good with biology, but the diagram that they presented, and there is nothing. Suppose if there is a psychology or maybe computer science students who wants to work with the project, they cannot, they don't have that expertise to convince. I don't feel I am not for the team. Yeah.
You want to pass it down to? Oh, sorry, Tessa's before you.
I gotta say, this budget is very big for such a niche club. It is very big, and I fail to see how this very specific club needs so much money from the SAF.
There is a $4,000 cap for the first 2 semesters from the SAF. Just maybe if you wanted to keep that in mind. But did you have anything else to add, Tessa?
Yeah, I know that there's a $4,000 cap, but it's still the overall amount of money that is being projected in this budget is somewhat concerning for such a specific club that could potentially be getting department funding for this project.
So I have 2 points to say. So the first one is regarding, I thought there was a lack of description provided. So such as regarding when we were been asked regarding the broadcasting of the IGEM. So what are the plans that they will be moving forward with the broadcasting and spreading across this? So like there was a lack of discrepancy in that. So they have no other plans like how they can promote it or circulate the things among other students as well. So probably that is the one point which I felt was like a lack of description of broadcasting. Second thing is regarding the funds. So also they had to provide what are the plans, future plans with this specific fund, such as like $3,000 or $4,000. They should have a detailed information like suppose $1,000 for this specific field or $1,500 for this specific field. So they had to provide much information like what are their plans on utilizing this particular fund for 2 semesters. That will beneficial the students as well.
So we are out of time for discussion unless we have a motion to extend. Second.
I second.
Okay. Alejandro, I believe you were next.
For how long? We need a specific, yes.
So, okay.
3 minutes, a second.
Okay, I second it. Okay, sure. Yeah, so I definitely agree with a lot of points that everyone has been made, especially about the budget and how niche it is. I do want to mention that a lot of the budget stuff is up to finance board to decide. So in general, with a lot of student orgs, I don't think that's necessarily as large of a factor to consider, unless maybe the budget is a limiting factor in order to the student org to thrive. And here it arguably is, but I think there could be some merit to the org operating on not quite as large of a budget. Maybe they're able to just get some people together to do some research on a certain topic, get some experience under a belt, maybe still make some connections with faculty or whatever the case might be. So how much of a benefit will provide students without many of the things that they want, such as I don't know, such as attending the Grand Jamboree or some of the lab equipment, it's hard to say, but I do think there could be some merit.
Any other discussion points? We have about a minute left. Do you have a discussion point?
I do just want to say a few things. So a large portion of their budget is conference funding that is capped at 35% of what they request. So take what they are basically requesting and they're really the maximum they can get is 35%. So just keep that in mind because a lot of their funding does come from conferencing. That is capped at 35%. The other thing I just want to address is that the budget shouldn't be the thing that decides your vote. Speaking from the campus life perspective, the point of this is to fill a niche in the student orgs. It's not, are they going to take X amount of money from all the other orgs? Are they going to take X amount of money from this? It's, are there people interested in this that want to do something together, that can do something together? And we have a lot of clubs that are just purely recreational. This is actually doing something educational, doing some research, doing a little bit more than just some recreational club. And I personally don't see a problem with giving a little bit of funding for something like that compared to some sort of recreational club. But I don't speak for everybody here, but I just want you to all keep that in mind that it's looking to fill a niche. That's what we're looking for when we approve and deny orgs. And we want to not rely solely on the budget that they are requesting.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Any more points of discussion tonight on iGEM? Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen the way that we run a student org, this is how we do them all. At this point, you can either motion to previous question, which means that we're going to release the voting form and you guys can vote, or you can motion to table it if you feel like there was something missing. So at this point, I'm looking for a motion. Tessa? All right, do I have a second? Any opposed? No. All right. Bolu, will you release the iGEM voting form, please? And we will move on. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, I think that's the first vote of the new Senate, right? First vote on a student org.
First
that
student
is, right?
org, yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you vote, I guess, congratulations. Okay, we'll move on to BSAA. If you guys want to come on up, I'll pull up your slideshow. One more student org tonight for you guys.
Let's go. Appreciate it.
Testing. Hello. Sorry, singing up in here. Testing.
All right, bet.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Kaya Jones. I'm the president of the Black Student Athlete Association.
My name is Garrison Carter, and I'm the vice president of the Black Student Athlete Association.
And I'm Rael Sandifer, and I'm the manager of the Black Student Athlete Association.
Okay, yeah, so who we are, we're a group to empower the Black student athletes here on campus through not just sports, but also through the classroom. And we aim to, just to create an environment for people to come in to learn about just to learn about like roles that we can do here on our campus, but just also with schools around us. We were trying to create a lot of leaders as well in our group. And we're also just trying to promote, that like we're a small group, there's Black people here, but then there's also Black student athletes here. So we're like a really small part. So we're just here to create an environment and to create a space for people to come in and talk and just to learn about what they're going through, and also just try to hear how we can help each other out.
As an organization, we have 4 main goals. The first goal is we strive to ensure academic excellence by providing resources such as tutoring, mentorship programs, and to assist the Black student athletes in achieving their educational goals. We are here as athletes, but students first. And as an organization, that is our primary goal, is to make sure that all of our athletes are taken care of in the classroom, because the way things work, if you don't get it done in the classroom, you can't get it done on whatever sport you're doing. So that's just the main focus that we have. The second focus and goal that we have is to promote athletic excellence, not only displaying elite athletic performance, but by also continuing to foster a culture of sportsmanship, teamwork, and engagement with our community. The third thing is throughout our journeys as collegiate student athletes, we seek to exhibit leadership in competition in our communities and take our leadership skills to a new level by using various environments to develop our leadership abilities. And finally, we will actively advocate for the rights, equal opportunities, and fair treatment of Black student athletes on our campus and when we go and travel to other universities and colleges. Why are these our goals? Well, we aspire to create a more inclusive and equitable environment for all student athletes, giving them every opportunity to succeed and giving them the best chance to take whatever aspirations, goals that they have for themselves athletically and academically, and combining those to creating a formula for success.
So our starting policy is the memberships is open to all Black student athletes currently enrolled in Illinois Tech, but not only limited to only the Black student athletes. You can, we don't deny any race or ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. And non-Black allies who are committed to the association's mission and objectives are also encouraged to participate. So we encourage everybody to join. And the events that occur in the BSAA are the general body meeting, speaker series, outreach, community engagement programs. We have barbecues and movie nights, game nights at Keating, and BSAA dinners, and at a Black-owned restaurant.
I want to make just this clear about the events. These events aren't just things we're doing and we're just trying to, get money to do it. Being a student at this university is tough. I'm sure all of you guys know, going through midterms and things like that, and then adding, an extracurricular, and for us being athletics, that adds a whole nother component to our lives, our daily lives. And, it's stressful, from whatever perspective you take, trying to go through this whole collegiate walk. And these events give us the opportunity to connect in a space that is not our sport, because, a lot of times, we always say things aren't personal, emotions, feelings, your athletic performance, that always potentially drives how you interact with people and, your feelings. And this gives us the opportunity to connect in another space and get to know each other and have an opportunity to really share who we are and as people, because that's really the main thing, is knowing who we are as people and just caring about that other side, to make sure that, we have a well-rounded athlete community.
Yes, and one thing I want to add about the speaker events, we actually had one, someone from the World Business Chicago came in to speak and to share his story. So we're also bringing in people who are working, now in the scene, and just bringing back any knowledge and advice to share to us. So yeah, that's something that we're actually really proud of, just to, to have someone who looks like us also to come in and talk about, their journey. Yeah, and again, just to sum up and why we stand out, because, we bring a culture, being Black, but then also just being student athletes, like how Garrison was saying, it's hard, when you have school, but then you're also adding other thing to it as well. So we're just trying to have that environment, to just be hey, we're also here for you. And we're just trying to bring a great community of people. And then, yeah, just to also show it's not just sports, especially in the Black community. If you go to Brownsville, a lot of kids think, oh, it was just sports and nothing else, but we're really trying to be hey, we've been there, and, we're also trying to go through it as well. So we love sports, but at the same time, we can also do both. That's very, very, really great that how we can also show that to others. Cause when you're for example, let's say if you're a kid and you see someone else doing something really cool, if you see them and they're oh, they look just like me, then they can also have that strive to do it as well. And do you have and thanks for listening to us, and any questions for later. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a great idea. I feel as you guys mentioned, representation is key for a lot of things. And I feel it's a huge community that it's great that they're being represented, and I think that's awesome. My question is this only for student athletes, or somebody that maybe they do it for fun, they're just running, over the weekends, and they consider themselves athletes? Would they also be part of the club?
Yes. So this organization would just be specifically for student athletes. As the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which is under the athletics department, which is all student athletes, there was a recognition for a need to, create almost a subcategory of it. And since the athletics department is the main funder of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and we are not under their budgeting system for, how the events and, the different meetings and things that they want to achieve, we are using another avenue to help, cultivate the same idea, mainly under the athletics department.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you for a nice presentation, and the ideas that you have presented were quite good. The question that arose in my mind is, although we all as an organization, we work on inclusive and equitable environment. That is our motto for all organizations that are working here. So I wanted to know what is the story behind this, that you came up with this. Okay. So what was the story that motivated you to come up with this thing? The
Yeah.
story within your advisory group.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the challenges? So to answer your question first, how did we kind of figure out there was a need for this? I'm just going to kind of go back, from where I grew up, there haven't always been people that look like me in the, different settings that I've been in. And coming to this university, that was pretty similar on my athletics teams. And you said, we always talk about, on the basketball team, we at like this, you're all a part of the same hand, but once you put it together as a fist, you're unified, and really making an intentional effort to be unified with a lot of us having the same goals and aspirations, not just in our sport, but beyond our sport, in the classroom, in the community, being active in so many different aspects of this university and in our lives, making it a formal group and making, things official, as they say, really will allow us to take our, connection and, the things that we're trying to achieve to the next level, if that makes sense. And then to answer your question about the challenges that we face, as a student athlete, from my experience being only a second year, I haven't really experienced, challenges from a, race, ethnicity standpoint. I feel like everyone's that I've come in contact with has been very inclusive, very welcoming, and, very supportive in the mission that, I have as an individual, and, being in the different groups and organizations that I am a part of, our collective idea to, help improve this situation that we're in right now. But I mean, I would just say, just being a collective unit, that will just take care of so many different things from a, camaraderie and solidarity standpoint, things that are more intangible, not like physical things like between me and you, but just the thought and knowing that you have someone behind you when challenges do come up, be it not even just on the court, but like academically in life, that you have a group that look like you, probably have similar experiences to you, and a group that could potentially give you the best opportunity to get through whatever challenges you may face in the future.
Thank you. We have a question back here as well. Naeem, do you also have a question? I just need a motion to extend time if you'd like to continue the question.
Moved. We'll go 3 minutes.
Do I have a second? Perfect. All right, here are none.
Hey guys, thank you for your presentation. As I can read the presentation, you said it is for the average gender, religion, and race, right? But the name suggests like it's black only. Because if I was not here, I was roaming the campus and I saw your flyer, I would say like it was not for me. So how do you like plan to tell other minorities like it is inclusive club, like everyone can join?
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's our name, the Black Student Athlete Association. But also there are people who also do who aren't Black, but also do like say, okay, yes, I agree with what you are saying, and I want to be right there with you. So like we do have student athletes come in who aren't Black, who also just want to show they're like, hey, yeah, just want to show like their support, just be like, hey, like even though I'm not Black, like I still want to be there for you, and I still want to hear things that are going on, so I can also be a voice for you. Yes, even though we do say Black Student Athlete Association, it is open to all, because we do have friends who aren't Black, and they have came to our events, stuff like that.
And I just want to add that, we say that we're inclusive of, all different walks, and, race and gender, ethnicity, things like that. It's more of we're not saying no, if that makes sense. Like we have our, group, and if you express interest and you want to help our effort, we're not going to say no. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not necessarily going to be at the forefront of our organization, but if someone really wants to be a part of what we're doing, we're not just going to turn them away based on the color of their skin or whatever may have you.
Yeah, thank you. But I was just asking like how you're going to promote it to the other minorities, like how they know like it's for them also.
Yeah, so I mean, well, like just on like on social media, like we also because he's the president of SAC as well, and that's all races. So like that's a way that we also get it out to the other like black, white people and other people as well. So like through their social media, also just like also our people who are also like who are on the board as well, they do send it out to their teams. So like all team members from like all the different types of sports teams get our like, hey, we've been meeting at this time, show up. Like so everyone gets it as well. So yeah.
In our events as well, we you know, because I'm kind of going both back and forth between the two. Our events are a lot of them are collaborative too. So they're one where everyone can kind of understand what's going on both sides.
Yeah.
We are out of time again. Would you like to extend time to ask your question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do I have, by how long, and do I have a
Just
second?
1 minute, please.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Is there a second? Okay.
I will push to ask my question because it is important to me. As another Black student, I'm not a student athlete. However, I do teach to two high school students right now as part of our pre-college program. I just finished a class with them right before coming to this meeting, actually in Retaliata. One thing that is important, and you all touched on it, is that, you know, as Black student athletes, you set an example and you represent an example to, you know, these young people that you can be an athlete and also still be a STEM major and pursue some of these, you know, harder degrees that maybe Black people aren't highly represented in. So to that point, what do you all plan on doing to try and connect with more young people that come through IIT to try and convince them that, you know, they could potentially follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, so there's actually one thing we're starting right now, which is the STEM Cafe. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but it's an opportunity for us to actually go to the local high schools, one of them being Perspectives Charter Schools and De La Salle, right, you know, right across the street over here, and, you know, sit down with these students, these high school students, and tell them about our stories, you know, what Illinois Tech has to offer, and just, you know, really raise up that next community. And then going even beyond just high school students, one of the things that I proposed in my, you know, election process was even reaching the elementary schools and the youth, you know, because, you know, it really starts when they're young. And I remember back when I was in high school, we would go to the elementary school kids and just like read stories to them and just, you know, make that connection. So to answer your question, yes, we are already starting to have things in the works working with high school students, but our goal is to actually go even farther than that and reach the youth, the younger community, to raise up that next generation.
All right. At this point, do I have a motion to move to discussion? Second. All right, perfect. With no objection. If you guys want to follow Andrew, he'll walk you towards the pitch. And I will let somebody lucky start our discussion period. Who would like to start? Avery in the back corner. Run. All right. All right.
So I just wanted to address something quickly. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the president of PRISM. We do advertise ourselves as the club for LGBTQ plus students, but like this club, we do accept everyone. Even though we advertise ourselves that way, we do have many students who are not queer who attend our events. So for the question that was raised about that, I do see that happening within cultural organizations that may advertise to a specific group, that others still do participate in the club. So I just wanted to put that out there, that this is something, as someone who is a president of a cultural club, I do see happening.
All right. Any other points, Sadupa?
I don't want to sound rude or naive, but I went to the whole purpose and goal of what they have proposed in the documentation, and I don't know how much the documentation is valid for the votes, but when they proposed that the organization is meant for people like for all origin, but in the whole documentation is nowhere written that it is mentioned for the whole other than the Black. So I am not sure whether this is valid for the.
Yeah, well, it is the policy of IIT that you cannot close your organization off to any group. So if you're interested in that organization, an organization has to let you join, no matter what. but as they sped many times, they are directed towards those Black athletes. So that might be why it wasn't specifically listed in their discussion.
Yeah. I didn't. It's
The I don't know what it's called. Proposal. The BSAA proposal, yeah.
yeah. Other than that, I really support this organization, and I would go for the yes. Yeah.
All right. Any other points of discussion that
I will just make a point of discussion real quickly, just because I've been an executive board member on multiple Black student orgs at this point, and work with multiple of them. We, of course, have a variety of different student orgs that cover the wide diaspora of different students that we have here, whether it be with a sexuality spectrum, race spectrum, religious spectrum, etc. The existence of any of them does not exclude anyone or prevent anyone from even starting another org in that same domain, but for a different group or anything. And I just want to say, certainly, that approving potentially this org doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, we can't approve any other orgs for any other student athletes that identify in a different way or different or any other different org period for people who may not be Black. And that in my experience, there's been no like anti-non-Black discrimination in any of the Black student orgs. Everyone has always been welcome, and that's been a thing. And to my knowledge, that will continue. As Avery said regarding PRISM, there's been no exclusion regarding any orgs in that regard.
All right. Thank you, Naeem. Any other points of discussion at all for this topic? If not, do I have a motion to move to previous question?
Moved.
A second. Any opposed? No. Okay. Buller, will you release the voting form on that one? And Andrew, I think he went. So we should be good. We're going to move on to our last topic that we have a voting item on. And this is, I'm going to invite Mark up here from the Office of Student Life. It's just a special situation that we've crossed today with the Iranian Student Association. So I'm going to let Mark really kind of explain the guts of it. And then we'll have a brief discussion period. And then I believe we'll be doing a vote on that. So I'll let Mark talk about it.
All right. Good evening. How are you all? Hey. I am, for those of you who are fairly new to this group, I am an interim administrator. I'm working with Student Affairs for about 5-month period to help hold down the fort with some vacancies in the Office of Student Life, and also to work with Residence Life and serve as a consultant to the Vice President for Enrollment and Student Affairs, as well as Katie Stent, who is the Vice Provost for Student Affairs. So through my role, I'm also serving as a co-advisor for student government and working closely with the Student Finance Board. What has arisen is a student organization, the Iranian Student Organization. They applied for funding for the Student Finance Board, but because they had been inactive as a student organization for over 3 semesters, they're required to apply to Senate for reinstatement as a student organization. And we have been delayed administratively in getting budgets out, so a time period has elapsed between their notice of their funding and the opportunity to come here and present their case for reinstatement. But in the meantime, they have an an event planned for this Thursday, which it would be impossible to do to get them on the Senate agenda in time to be formally reinstated. So Derek and I spoke offline, and we think it would be appropriate for the Senate to consider an exemption, a one-time exemption for this organization They have been approved for $2,400 in funding by the Finance Board, and they're simply awaiting for the opportunity to be reviewed formally by this body. And we don't want to penalize them because of the time lag to essentially prevent them from holding their event on Thursday. So I recommend that the Iranian Student Organization be granted a temporary exemption for them to access their funds and to successfully hold their event. And secondly, I recommend that they come back to the Student Senate at a mutually agreeable time where they can present their case for reinstatement as a student organization. So that's what I have to say. Any
Yeah.
questions?
So at this point, we'll run a very brief question period. There are some people from the Iranian Student Society here. And if you guys want to hear their opinion, but basically to sum up what Mark said, we just want to give them an exemption from this so they can hold their event in the interim while they're preparing to present in front of you guys for official reinstatement.
I believe it's an issue of fundamental fairness to the organization. They're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place with a time lag.
I was just going to ask, what is the event, if you didn't mention it already?
I'm not sure the event. What is the event?
Oh.
It's upcoming Friday, October 13. It's the Persian gathering. All of you can come and invited. And hopefully, the thing that happened is that we tried to get the budget during the 6 months ago. We tried a lot, but the things that here, we want to have the time, just a little bit time, that our president of the IRSA can get a Zoom link or a Google Meeting link to talk about the discussion.
Can I add something? Okay.
We're simply discussing our motion to grant them an extension on their funding, to give them this period where they can run the event. We're not discussing the viability of the Iranian Student Association. That will come at a later time. Right now, we're simply discussing whether or not we would like to grant them, unfreeze their funding so that they can run this event. Yeah, Avery.
This is more probably for Mark logistically, but given the quick timeline of when the event would be held, what would be the feasibility of if this exemption was granted, would those funds be able to be applied in time?
Oh, immediately.
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. It was just more a feasibility question of like, how does that actually?
Right. We don't administratively want to have any, it's not viable for us to overrule Student Senate rules. We want to make sure that we follow your rules, but also to be fundamentally fair to the organization who is caught in this time lurch.
Agree. Tessa, did you have a question?
And Mark, you said that Finance Board already allocated funds for this.
They have.
They have
How much was that?
2,400.
Okay.
Mhm. They requested much more, but as you've heard before, travel funds are very limited, and they were not granted their full budget, but they were granted $2,400.
Joseph, I believe you had a question.
Yeah, I don't think the question that was asked earlier was really trying to get into like feasibility. I think it was just asking like what type of event is it gonna be? Like, is
Yeah.
it gonna be like a general body
Yeah,
meeting?
that one was okay, but it was getting off task. So I want to make sure that we're answering the questions that are answered. We're answering the questions that were asked. And that's
Yeah,
all
I
we're
guess I was
discussing
just gonna
today.
ask it again, is it like a general body meeting type of event?
your question a bit better, Joseph.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know what we're funding, and I think that's okay. My biggest question now is just why did finance board fund an org that was inactive? So I don't really think that's their fault, and they shouldn't be penalized for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was simply a miscommunication with Monique, Rez, and I. We've been trying to develop a better system for it. But yeah,
Yeah, just a follow up. The reason why I asked the question I asked was because essentially you're asking us, we can't vote on the org now, but we have to vote on the event.
Yes, yes.
So,
yeah.
so I need some context as to what the event is, right? So
Yeah.
that's just all I'm asking for. It's just some more information. So thank you for providing that.
Yeah. All right. Is there any more questions about this? Ishan. Thank you, Naeem.
This is just a quick question. Approximately how much are you estimating to spend from your allocated $2,400? Because, if you're using all of it on one event, then, that kind of may cause an issue.
Our estimation budget, is around $2,400, but we thought that it's for our semester. So based on the students who are, who filled the invitation forms, we are around 60 students, and that is the main, statistics that we just want to allocate our budget depending on the number of students that are 60 students, and based on them we will provide some food and some plannings for our budgets, our banners and other budgets that's I'm not familiar with them, but my friend and also our president is online. He can explain more about them.
I will say the finance board policy for maximum for GBM is $300. So that'd be the most I'd be spending for Friday. That to answer your question.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right. Any further questions? I think we're out of time for this discussion period anyway, unless there are some further questions, concerns, comments. No, Jacob. Thank you, Naeem. Would you like to extend time, Jacob?
I can.
Ishan, would you like to extend time?
I motion to extend
Okay,
time.
you're good. Go ahead.
The $300 restriction for GBMs or any general event is only if it doesn't appeal to a wider audience. I think that they have 60 people interested in attending, so they should be able to spend more than $300. They should really be able to spend more, $900 if they have 600 people interested in attending, because that's $15 per person, and your average on average spending $15 per meal if you're on the meal plan. So if they want to spend $900, I think they should. This is one event. We've spent 15 minutes on one event. So could we please approve it?
All right. Are we good? Yes. Okay. This is just going to be a hand raise vote. If you guys would like to unfreeze their funds for the week so they can run this event, please raise your hand. That seems to be a majority of senators. Perfect. We will move on. And Mark, they're good. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to try to go through these last few things very quickly because this has already gone longer than I was hoping it would. So I'll hand it off right to Andrew.
All right, so we have a couple big updates for everybody this week. 3 job postings are going to be going out within the next week for OSL positions. So that includes one for finance board to help with finance board policies and whatnot and funding for the year. So we actually have a paid position there for that. We're going to have another one for residence life to help with CDAs and whatnot with residence life. And then the position for the director of Office of Student Life is going to be going out as well. Dean Seth is just finalizing the last few things with the entire university and everything, and then those will be going out within the next week. State Street, I know there's been a lot of concern with safety with State Street this year. There are ongoing conversations with the mayor's office going on with Permanent Safety Solutions. Public safety is out there in the meantime to help just provide a little bit additional visibility with that situation until a permanent situation is in place with the city of Chicago and the school. The options are a little bit limited because of the type of road State Street is, but they are exploring any and all possibilities that are available to help increase the safety on this campus. And then lastly, I have a meeting with Food Advisory Board. I was finally able to hunt down Chartwell's with the help of Dean Stetz. So that way we finally actually have a meeting with Chartwell's. I have a meeting with Chartwell's tomorrow. I have I have about a page long list of bullet points that I want to address with them. And after that meeting, I'll be more than happy to, I'll probably actually post the meeting notes in the Discord as well from that meeting. So that is what I have for this week.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
Hi, everyone. So for Residence Life, once again, I'm just going to reiterate the 4 meetings we have in October altogether. Yes, I see everyone looking. Emojis are my thing. So we already had our meeting with Prism last week. I just want to say thank you very much to Avery and Eve for the excellent presentation that they prepared for the night. I think everyone walked away. We had nearly 40 attendees virtually for our last RHA meetings. I think nearly everyone walked away with something of value. Tomorrow we'll be meeting again, and we'll be featuring SGA, an SGA representative named Derek that I think you all know very well will be there, in addition to Allison from the ARC, or the Academic Resource Center, to advertise to our residents the resources they have in Galvin, Kaplan, and all of the other places and how those work. Career Services will be coming for a general overview of their resources the following Thursday. And then the Title IX Compliance Office will be coming for a talk about sexual assault awareness, but specifically it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So there will be a conversation regarding that for the last Thursday of October. Reminders, we meet at 9:15 p.m. Every Thursday now. We're going back to weekly. Some ideas for November, we're looking at a mental health talk with Student Health and Wellness. So right now I'm working with Dean Stetz and the head of Student Health and Wellness to try and coordinate that. Incident report protocol with the head of our CARES operation, Mel. So we're working with her to inform students on how to better write incident reports and how to make sure that, ensure that your incident report can be carried as far as it can be by administration. As we've seen, there are some hiccups there. So starting it out well can help improve that process for everyone on board and when you should be filing those reports. So that's an important thing to know. And then lastly, I have a Yum Yum event because we probably want something in person at some point this semester. So I'll see about that with food featured. And in progress right now, we're working on floor rep and committee senator engagement activities. So we're going to start taking some votes this week, actually, as to what we'd like to get out of the rest of RHA this semester and next semester. Hawk House going forward, we're currently drafting some recommendations after a meeting with the Hawk House commuter hotel operations team in terms of steps they can take to better improve that process. I know I'm going very quickly, but we're short in time. Derek's giving me the evil eye here, so I'm just talking really fast. And then lastly, RA training was approved for later in October, once again hosted by Eve and Avery, who are knocking it out of the park this month, for RA, specifically training in scenarios where they're working with students that identify anywhere on the sexual and gender spectrum, how to properly handle those situations and whatnot. That presentation got greenlit and is happening later this month. So that's moving forward. And yeah, these are just a few of the things on our slate. If you have any questions, you can come to me after the meeting.
All right. Thank you, Naeem. I'm gonna
Galvin Library, which has 8 more events in this semester and already held 5. Each of these are open to students and faculty, discussing topics such as the structuring of grant proposals, the identification of appropriate publishers, the variety of funding sources available, the utilization of artificial intelligence in research and research writing, and much more. It's a bit long. Additionally, we have been collaborating with many student organizations to host our talks on getting involved in research, applying to graduate school, transferring from academia to industry, and more. Currently, we have events for applied math, psychology, and physics. Our first official test run of a research lunch experience, which gives students a brief exposure to the experience of that's wordly written, of research from a professor or student working with them. Our first research lunch experience will take place with Dr. Raksha Katiwada, who is a researcher at Fermi National Lab studying quantum computation and involved in the search for axion dark matter. Coincidentally, a field I used to be involved in. This event is also in collaboration with the SPS IIT Initiative for Quantum Computation, which is the sole coordinated effort by students for topics on quantum information, science, and engineering, and plans to actually present here later this year. Further, in hopes to make our offerings more accessible, we have created 3 platforms for you to stay updated. The first is a Google group, the second is a Google Calendar, and the third is created by AVP Armas Rojo, otherwise known as Elio, that being our page on the SGA website, which you can go to if you go to the tabs committees. It can also be accessed at scraiit.org. I'd like you all to also welcome, but please hold your applause, the new vice chair of the SGA's Special Committee on Research Affairs, Nikhila Panyam, who had to leave because she's just too dedicated to campus. I'd also like to thank the outgoing vice chair, Nathan Abanovicius, and he's not here either, so I discourage any applause. Finally, I want to announce our official call for graduate representatives of the SCRA. Currently, we have 8 disciplines representative in our undergraduate programs: physics, computer science, psychology, applied mathematics, chemistry, biology, and machine learning. However, recognizing the value of representation for graduate students, we hope to have just as strong, if not a stronger, graduate division. I should note that first-year graduate students are welcome to join the committee, but should not be a representative or discouraged from being a representative unless having demonstrated proficiency and capacity in the role prior. In the case a graduate representative cannot be found given this constraint, we will open the position to a first-year graduate student. We are especially looking for international students as representatives, given the abundance and proportion of international students in many graduate programs. I hope I have not taken up too much of your time unwarrantedly, and I hope each of these events and programs benefits each of you or many of you. Stay tuned for our globalized mentorship program, a seminar on applying to postgraduate grants and fellowships, notably the NSF GRFP, and much more. If you feel you can contribute in any way not related to program representation, we are also looking for social media team members, a treasurer, event planners, particularly for the particularly for the undergraduate research banquet, which is planned to be held next year, as well as a journalist. I'd be delighted to discuss this with any of you further or answer any questions during open floor shortly after the Senate session, or you can email me at chair@scraiit.org. Thank you.
Any senators looking to report anything tonight? No? Any open, Joseph.
I'm just I'm working on constitutional amendments. So if anyone's interested in working on that with me, message me on the Discord.
Sweet.
Take you up on that.
Any
Might be
open
changing
floor
some work
items?
in that department.
Avery. I'm gonna limit these to 2 minutes.
Question.
Wonderful.
So you mentioned that public safety is now or is currently standing, or I think it might have been actually you. Mentioned that public safety is currently standing in the sidewalks to help with clock crossing. If, as has now happened to me on multiple occasions, they are simply chatting with each other and are not actually paying attention to the road, who should we report that to?
Yeah, Joseph right there. Joseph specifically deals with public safety under campus life. So campus life, and then Joseph deals with all of it.
I think there's a compliment or complaint form on the website, right? I'll send it out, and then you can also fill that out, and they'll get it directly. But be sure to send it to Joseph too, and then we can bring it up in person with the director of public safety. And if anything comes up like this, right? For example, with the new structure, there's a lot of officers going around. If they are super nice, super helpful, they're helping you across the street, yeah, tell them thank you, even like ask their names. And the opposite is the same. If they're not paying attention, if they're chatting away, just look at their names or just ask them, hey, what can I call you? And just remember that, and then you can just tell us, and then we'll take over, okay?
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any more open floor items limited to 2 minutes?
Do we have anyone from the academic affairs department here, like from the committee? Because I have some questions directed to them. It doesn't have to be answered today. I'd just like to hear like
Yeah.
sometime
I-
soon.
The best person to talk to about that is probably Nathan. He'll be here next week and we also have committee meetings next week. So that would be probably the best forum to bring that up.
What is the question?
I wanted to post some questions about the midterm course evaluation cycle and like how that's working. I've noticed that.
Dustin, not to interrupt you, but Nathan is the only one who manages that. Like throwing it at
Okay.
us just makes us also
Would-
throw it on to somebody else.
Would,
So
would y'all prefer I post these next week? I've posted it on the Discord. I just
yeah,
wanted to make it known
I
here.
think
at the
I think
meeting.
next week would be best, specifically to Nathan. He's the one who
Okay, got it. Thank you. I rest my case.
gets actual changes with that. Jacob.
Also, Nathan's already stated that he's actually actively working to fix that. I raised my hand because each one of the students that represent a college is constitutionally obligated or encouraged, obligated, but nobody's going to hold you to that. Meet with the college dean. So if you want to meet with your college dean and speak with them on whatever, you can use that to meet with them.
I will be giving the specific ones the dean's email. I have an email out to them right now, just basically introducing you. So once they get that going. Thank you, Jacob. Anything else or can we adjourn? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys. Next week will be committee meeting, so hopefully a little bit more fun. Have a good week. Study hard.